background and a context to the conversation as we start. And I have tried to put together a small presentation also. But the quick background is, I essentially come from an organization which is Ednet Foundation, and we have a platform of IBM which is known as Skillsbuild, which I'm assuming most of us are already familiar with, and we have started engagement program.
Yeah, Purna Venkatesh, please mute yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
thanks, Rajendra. And we have started this engagement program, which we're talking about today, which is known as Innovation Camp, or, in sense, Skills Build Innovation Camp, where the idea is to ensure that the learners or the students whom we have in our ecosystem get an opportunity to implement and learn some of the skills, right, by really building some technical solutions. And that is where, we've conceptualized this program known as Skills Build Innovation Camp, and we wanted to talk about the same today. And thanks, Rajendra, for bringing up that on the screen also. So we have this innovation camp set for the students, which is all around the fact that we want the students who are interested in taking up careers in front-end web development technologies, right? It is a camp essentially for them where they can leverage this opportunity to essentially get an experience of, like I said, building that tech solution for the students. And Rajendra, if you don't mind, should I start sharing the screen?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, thank you. Perfect. So, with that background, I think so that I just wanted to ensure that all of us are on the same page with the session we are trying to do today. And like I mentioned, it is essentially an engagement program where the whole idea and the philosophy is to provide that hands-on learning experience in to the students in building some technical solutions, and not just something which they do, when we are giving them lab exercises in the class to practice on some of the skill set, but something to really solve a problem which is out there in the industry, right? And also under the mentorship of experts from the industry. And that's the whole premise of the whole program which we're trying to talk about. The theme which we have chosen, while there are multiple such technology camps which we are running, theme specifically which we've chosen for the camp for APSSDC is essentially the front-end web developer. So the students who are interested in pursuing a career into similar field or exactly the same one can essentially come and leverage a lot from these kind of camps, where the whole engagement is structured in such a way that it is not something which happens over a workshop, which is like a 1 week, 2 week kind of a stuff, but it is a program which runs for 20 weeks approximately on an average duration, depending on how much the learners whom we have in the ecosystem can they contribute kind of stuff. So we assumed the learners whom we have can essentially spend approximately 2 to 3 hours per week at a minimum level, right, while they're doing their other academic activities also, to participate in this program. And if they do so, it would take them approximately 20 weeks to complete this particular program which we're talking about. And the target audience specifically which we're talking is any student who has basic understanding of computer skills. I already understand that we have students who have applied, already have an experience. Some of them have done engineering, or some of them have their BCAs, MCAs or so. So that's a perfect audience which we are looking at to participate in this kind of a program. And the only requirement is essentially there has to be a keen willingness to learn those technologies, if they really want to explore a career in that particular field. Because it's a long duration program, right? And it is very easy for a student to lose focus if he joins something which he or she is not interested in. So that's the premise and the background to it. And from a requirement perspective, all they would need is a laptop or a computer system where they have an access to a good internet connection. Because currently the way the situation is, we are trying to do this whole camp through an online mode, right? And it has two parts to it. The online mode, there will be sessions from the experts as well. So it will be instructor led, some of the sessions, and some of the exercises or the assignments given to the students will be self-paced. Basically, they will have to go learn, in a team, essentially, and learn and acquire those skills before they start becoming to solve the problem, kind of thing. From a very broad perspective, the idea of running these camps is essentially give students an experience in learning technologies like HTML, JavaScript, CSS, preprocessors, CSS again, right? And obviously Git, because when they are trying to do these projects, we would want them to leverage Git ecosystem a lot, which is being leveraged in the industry across, to ensure that when they're working on shared projects and multiple people are working on a same project, how do they work, right? So that's the whole idea of giving them a flavor of what will actually happen in industry when they go out looking for a job, right? They get through this particular camp to ensure that they have a proper support. So it is not just e-learning, right? It's not that we tell them go take this course and earn the certification, but we are supporting them in the journey also. So when they go ahead and learn something, and I'm taking up this particular concept today and I'm not sure of how it works, right? That is where the idea is to conduct these weekly touch point sessions, right? Which is nothing but interactive sessions with the mentors from the industry and the student teams, right? Where they can come and ask a question. Oh, I was learning this particular concept. I didn't get this particular part of it. Can you please help us? Right. And that's how the interaction works. So it is a learning which is guided and help works under the mentorship of an expert. Obviously, as part of this whole camp, which is approximately 20 weeks, the students will have an opportunity to not just meet and network with experts from our geography, but because it's a it's an initiative which is global in nature. We are going to get experts in the fields from the who are spread across the globe. So the kind of opportunity the student might have, right, in learning from different experts who are not just from your a city or your state or your country, but even across country knowledge that can be leveraged across the participants when they interact with the teachers out there. At the end of it, at the end of the 20-week camp, students will be, would have learned something, would have collaborated with these experts from industry to build some technical solution, right? And also to recognize their learning, they will get a certificate or a badge from IBM Skills Build. Again, because of the program being global in nature, the certification also is global, right? So a student, if he or she wants to pursue a higher study someday, right, he or she can always put this thing in his resume and apply for universities outside by saying, and those would be recognized because the platform and the initiative in which is being global, people everywhere understands, okay, oh, you have participated in this skills build innovation camp. We know what it is, and we know what you have done and what your skills could be, right? So it is a very good opportunity for students to ensure that the leverage of the entire ecosystem, right? And more importantly, when even they are going out and looking for jobs or sitting for placement interviews, it is always relevant, and it is a very basic thing which any company asks for. Show us the kind of projects which you have done, right? Then they are definitely supported and doing a lot of academic projects, but the projects of this kind where they work with teams which are cross functional, where they work with experts from industry, right, would help them to put a lot of value on their resume when they go out and sit for those job interviews and talk about the projects which they have done, right? It enhances or increases their employability in that aspect, because they would have gotten a real experience of what it is to work on a technical project from an industry perspective. So these are the couple of key benefits for a student of why he or she should be participating in a camp such like this. And from a large process for participation, which we have for the camp is essentially nothing. It has three phases to it. First step is the registration phase, where the idea is the student don't participate individually, right? Because we want them to work on a project, because we want them to build something. We want that flavor of team coming from right from the start, where they're building the teams even before they participate in the camp kind of stuff, right? So it is important that they create group amongst themselves, a group of 3 to 4 members, and say, "Okay, we are a team who is going to participate in a camp." And then obviously there is a back end process of how do we register them and enable them in the camp is something which our team will take care, and we would need your extensive support to ensure that students have all the necessary information, and whatever we circulate the processes, the steps to do that, we will share all the guides with the coordinators to be circulated amongst the students. That is the first phase, which is registration, and part of it, thanks to Rajender and team at APSSDC, we've already initiated a part of registration, and the only thing which is pending is they need to start creating the teams amongst themselves. Once that is done, the most important aspect of this whole initiative is divided into two parts. First one is enablement. That is the phase which is focused on ensuring that all the students, irrespective of their background, whether they have done MTech or a BTech or a BSc or a BCA, right? They all are at the same level and are learning the technologies which are relevant for a front-end development perspective, right? So the first phase of the whole camp, right, which is approximately the first, you can say approximately 40% of the camp duration in the start. So 6 to 8 weeks. We want the students to ensure that they learn these technologies. These, and as like I said, we have specifically curated that learning material for them, which I will also show in some time after this presentation, which essentially involves certain courses and concepts which student must know before they start working on that project. And while they are doing that, we want that to happen in teams, right? Because the best way of learning is not self-learning, but it is a peer learning. When the students learn in groups, right? It is, they tend to discuss amongst themselves, and that is where they learn more, right? And they support each other, and they think and brainstorm beyond what is, being given in the course kind of stuff, because that knowledge is important. And to support and ensure that when they are going beyond and they don't know or the answer for that particular thing or a question, right? That is where we have a network of mentors or so who will be supporting them through multiple things. One is the periodic sessions, which will be do with the students, where they will have to come join, they can ask the question to a mentor, and also to facilitate that, there is a support which is available at any point of time. We have this online community and we use Slack, which is a very popular uh, tool for collaboration amongst teams in industry, right? Where they can always come. It's like an online community, very similar to, like any one of your groups on WhatsApp or something, right? A little bit more structured, where they can come and put their questions to the experts, and the experts can interact with the students, start answering and start collaborating. And the idea of using that community is to ensure that, even if, let's say, one team is in one particular place, right, and learning have a similar question like the other team working from another place, right? So the students also interact amongst each other. They know what the other teams are trying to think and how they are moving in their learning, what kind of questions they are asking, right? And when there is a collaborative approach to it, that is where you are learning not just what's there in the content, but you are learning beyond from what there can be from the content. And that's the idea of the first phase of the camp, where they are asking the students to go through a guided learning, right, available from the platform. And once that particular student team has completed that guided learning, and these are the two courses which we have prepared for them, which is Welcome to Coding Land course and a front end development course, right? Once they have completed in the first 6 to 8 weeks, it means that now the team is ready to start working on some projects, right? And that is where the next phase of the camp is all about, which is all about empowering the students to use the technology which they have learned into applying that for solving something. And we want these students to, look out problems, either, in their localities, right? Because the whole idea is to build a technical solution for a real use case. Okay, I will have to just plug in my computer. Yes. So the whole idea is so that they build some solutions for a real world use cases, a problem which they see, right, which they have gone through it, right? So that when it really comes out building a technical solution towards that particular thing, they know what problem they are solving. And when they collaborate with an industry mentor, and this is a phase where there is a dedicated mentor being assigned to each team, where they can interact with that mentor on again on a periodic basis, right? And keep sharing, okay, this is how we are progressing about solution, this is how we are progressing about designing this particular thing, and get that input from the industry expert and do this thing in collaboration along with the student team, so that it becomes easier for them to build a solution, and they have a proper mentorship and a guidance from the industry expert. Whereas in the first phase, they are getting more of a group mentoring, right? Where a mentor will take care of large set of group of students, and as they move towards the second phase, it is all about peer one-on-one mentoring with one team, right? A dedicated mentorship, so that when they build a technical solution, they have all the right inputs from the expert who's out there. And we do this entire process of, empowerment in a form. What you see below is design thinking, which is nothing but a concept where you go about right from thinking about, right from identifying a problem to to brainstorming a solution and then implementing that solution. So that's what you see, where people empathize, design, build, and keep refining their solution depending on feedback. So it is not something which we ask the students only to, sit and code and create something, but sit, code, and give it to someone for whom you have implemented the solution, who will be the user of it, right? Take his input and then refine your solution again, right, to ensure that it meets the solution which the user is looking at. And that's the whole process which we walk in the next 12 weeks after the initial learning, right, with a dedicated mentorship, where they are really building a solution which is close to the user perspective of it. And that's how the idea is, where they are really building some solutions which has relevance, and not just academic projects, right? So that is where the whole cycle of the camp goes through. And in case towards the end, when the students have really created some prototypes, some solutions, right, which are ready to be implemented, we give them an opportunity towards the end of the camp to pitch, to really pitch their ideas, right, which gives them an entrepreneurial sense in terms of, if their idea is really good, right, and if they're solving a particular problem for a certain number of users, and if they are interested in taking an entrepreneurial journey, right, so they get an opportunity to pitch that particular thing in form of a potential audience, right, who might be interested in taking that idea forward. So we'll So the in a pitch session, we'll get a large expert from large experts from industry who would be working in similar cases and might be looking at helping the students build that and take it to real market, right? Or might be just interested in taking up those students and say, oh, you have done such a fabulous job, and in our company also we do similar thing. So we would like to go ahead, talk about an employment kind of stuff. So this is something which we're trying to facilitate, and we are trying to bring the first time in our program, where we are trying to see how once these solutions are created, the students can even linked with some entrepreneurship and employment opportunities, so that it really helps the students right from a place where he is learning and to a place where he's implementing and creating a pathway to industry. So that is why it is very important for a student, whosoever is participating, that he or she is really interested in taking or pursuing a career in a front end development in industry kind of stuff, right? Because it's a long program and it requires students to learn something, work in groups, right? Talk to people, interact with industry expert, build something, right? And that means there will be a lot of effort which student will also have to put through. While they will be supported, but at the end of the day, student will have to create, sit, code, spend their time, right? So it is very important that the students understand that part of it, and they are interested and inclined towards committing 20 weeks, which is approximately 4 to 5 months, right, since they start the program. So that is the idea and the whole flow of the particular camp. I'm going to take a pause here and quickly show you the learning which we have curated for all the learners on the platform, right? Obviously, we will help all the learners to get their registrations done, to create their teams and create those teams in the back end and help them with the onboarding processes. But once a learner is part of a camp, this is how he or she can track his learning. So anyone can see what are the different milestones, right, when a student comes, right? First is as simple as register to join the camp. Second is taking a baseline survey so that we understand what skills do they have, right? And once they have done this, right, this is where they start the phase one of learning technologies. And then there are two courses to it. Like I said, Welcome to Coding Land and Web Developer Foundations, which if you see is is approximately 125 hours, which the students will have to go through in teams to complete before they start on a project development. And they will have approximately 8 weeks or so, 8 to 10 weeks also or so, right, to complete this learning. And all the learning will be supported by mentorship or group mentoring or through the online community. And once they have completed this process, right, they will essentially start this problem and the solution design, pick up a project and start working on implementing that particular project. And that's where they and again, to ensure that they have all the necessary inputs, right, there is a e-learning supported with that particular kind of content, which will tell them, okay, you have to do this as step one, this as step two, this as step three, right? So it's a very guided roadmap for a student to ensure that they have all the necessary support through the platform, through the mentors whom they're engaging, to go through the entire journey. And once they have done and created a project, tested it out also, right, that's the last phase where they can submit their pitch, which is nothing but a presentation and a one, or we tell them to do a 1 or 2 minute video about what their problem was, what solution they have created, how that solution works, right? So that any expert from industry who's looking at it, he quickly gathers, oh, this particular team is trying to build this solution for this set of audience to solve this particular problem, right? And they have created this particular prototype. That's how it works, right? So a very quick view from for industry expert to understand, right? And basically helps them to really, if the students are interested in taking up entrepreneurial journey beyond the program also, right? They can use this as an accelerated version of creating their pitch for a startup or something, and then can go forward from here. So that is what the entire program facilitates to all the students. And as on when they keep hitting the milestones, right, the progress will keep moving further, and the students can see, oh, how am I going, or how my team is going across in the program. So this is, the learning which is there on the platform already for the students to help them, just get a grasp of how they are doing in terms of their overall learning and their progress across. I have the last slide, which I essentially curated, right? Because on this call, we have all the coordinators across the APSSDC ecosystem, and the support we would require from all of you would be essentially very crucial, because it's a large mass of students whom we are trying to drive, right? And it is very important that we have your support when you are throughout the program and for the following things. So definitely the first step is about creating these teams of students, right? So we would want the students to create those teams, maybe share that information across to a central thing at APSSDC, and then it comes to us so that we can work on a backend and create those teams on the system, help them with the registration processes in the backend from a platform perspective, and go about it. Most importantly, once we have done that, it is very important that there is a very good communication between us, the students, the experts, the coordinators whom we have on the call right now, so that the entire program is successful. And because we understand that the coordinators in some or the other way are directly linked to the students, we want to seek your support and help in ensuring that all the processes, all the information throughout the camp essentially disseminates from the coordinators to the students, so that it becomes much easier for all the students, and they know what steps to be taken in the program, kind of stuff, considering that we are doing it completely online. uh, right? Students will receive tasks and assignments and activities at periodic intervals, and it's important that as they progress in the camp, they complete those within timeline. So we would need your help to drive the students in ensuring that they are motivated, they are completing the activities, whatever is listed, right, and moving along, along with the other teams and the whole ecosystem. And when we conduct these weekly sessions of the experts or so on, right, and the mentors, we would just need again your help in supporting in terms of driving the engagement, ensuring the students are there, they are completing the activities, and so in a nutshell, it is the support is all around coordination and driving the engagement of the students, because they are all connected, they're all in a their distance, either working from their homes or at the centers of the APSSDC or somewhere else. And it is very important that we drive together this mass. And I think so. We are talking, the first list which we have received is approximately almost 2.5 K learners, which is really a big mass of audience, considering they're remote from different parts of the ecosystem. So we would need that collaborative support from the obviously the department and the coordinators to drive that out and make the program successful. So this is in a nutshell which I had to share, and talk to us all about. Now I think so we can keep the discussion to, we can head towards an open discussion, where in case if anyone would have questions, either you can put it on a chat and we can try to answer from there, or you can unmute yourself and maybe ask the question.
థ్యాంక్ యూ వైభవ్. మన దగ్గర నుండి ఎవరికన్నా ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉంటే మీరు అడగొచ్చు. సో వైభవ్, ఆన్ బిహాఫ్ ఆఫ్ కోఆర్డినేటర్స్ అండ్ అవర్ టీమ్, I'll put some questions. Is it LM? You told me, you just explained that experts also conducting their sessions, live sessions, right? Vaibhav, is my voice audible?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was on mute. Yes,
Okay,
they
okay,
will be
okay.
doing live sessions.
Live sessions. Are you providing LMS as well?
Yes, the skills build is the common LMS, Rajendra.
The
And
same which you had shared earlier, right? Or other?
exactly. And for camp, we have specially curated one, you can say a course within the LMS itself, right?
Oh,
So this the students can go there, subscribe to it, and then start taking up the journey from there.
okay. Is there any limit for
There
the
is no
joining?
limit.
There is no limit, right? As of now, students registered to 2000 change, I think. Uh, it was shared already with you across
Exactly.
the AP, right?
Yes.
And one more query. Is it free of cost, right? I know that, but I want to clarify one
Yes,
second.
it is the initiative which is free of cost. The only cost is the time and the interest of the student, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So, who can apply this course? Pursuing students are already completed the graduation.
If they have completed their graduation, even they can apply for the course, or the students who are currently, in their final years of the education, even they can come and participate. The only requirement, like I said, Rajender, is
Hmm.
twofold. One is they should be interested in
Yes.
the web technologies, right?
Yes.
And have this bare minimum infrastructure, which is a computer system and a laptop at their disposal, uh, right? And should be able to devote at least 3 to 4 hours or 2 to 3 hours, I would say, on a weekly level, so that they are going forward, right? Because
Yes.
what would happen is, imagine we have 2,500 students, just for an example, right?
Okay.
And a team, let's say 500 teams. And some teams will move fast, some teams will move slow, right? Because the learners will have different backgrounds. So we
Okay.
will even customize it. So for example, as on when the student, and the first phase, you have seen it's learning, right? So if in that 8 weeks which we provide, if some, let's say 100 teams have completed the learning, right, and are ready in the 4 weeks itself, so we
Okay.
will start the projects with them immediately, right? It's not that we will wait for all to complete and then start, right? Because the teams who are moving fast, right, they might not they might lose the interest. So we will take it at the a staggered approach, because we have a large audience base, right? So we will divide them, into terms of whosoever has moved fast and completed after, let's say, 4 or 6 weeks, we start the project delivery with them, right?
Oh,
Project work with
okay.
them. And then as and when, on a periodic basis, let's say 3 weeks afterwards, another 100 student, 100 teams would have done, for example, right? We'll start another project session with them, right? And then so on, so that it is really at the pace of a student team that we are creating these things. And we are not bound by exact, we can only start at the end of the 8th week, or we can only start at the end of a 6th week, or so on.
వన్ డూ యూ వాంట్ ఎవరైనా ఏమన్నా అడుగుతా అంటే ప్రశ్నలు అడగొచ్చు అండ్ మా డౌట్స్ క్లారిఫికేషన్స్ ఇట్స్ ఓపెన్ చేస్తున్నారు ఈజ్ రెడీ టు గివ్ ద రెస్పాన్స్.
How many days course?
కోర్స్ మనం ఇప్పుడు చెప్పాం కదా సార్, ఇది టోటల్ వచ్చేసి 22 weeks ఉంటుంది, 220 hours, 220 గంటలు.
Okay, sir.
So Rajender, while I didn't get quite the question, but the duration, right, which we're talking about,
Yeah.
like I said, it is depending on how the student team is progressing,
Yes.
right? So while we say that they will take average may 8 weeks to complete it, if they complete it in the 4 weeks itself, we start the project with them. And the
Okay.
project cycle is fixed. That will take at least 10 weeks. So 10 is a fixed thing for project, okay, because we want that much time for the students to spend, right? but the learning is customizable. If they move fast, we can move fast. If they move slow, we can move slow accordingly.
సో ఇక్కడ డ్యూరేషన్ అంటూ అంటే ఫిక్స్డ్ లిమిటెడ్ అంటూ ఏం లేదు. ఒకవేళ వాళ్ళు ఫాస్ట్గా వెళ్ళిపోతుంది అనుకో, ఇమీడియట్ గా వాళ్ళు ప్రాజెక్ట్ ఇచ్చేసి తొందరగా కంప్లీట్ చేయడానికి ఉంటుంది అని చెప్తున్నారు ఇక్కడ. అర్థమైంది అనుకుంటా. ఇప్పుడు క్వశ్చన్ అడిగిన వాళ్ళు ఒకసారి రెస్పాండ్ ఇవ్వండి. ఓకే. Vaibhav, one more thing. Each team is aligned to a one mentor, right?
Yes, in the project phase, Rajendra.
In the project phase, okay.
Yes.
The team size is 3 to 4 members.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Who should create these teams? Will they align automatically?
The students, even before, while we have registered them, but they should start the learning only in teams. So even, before we start the camp, right? And in parallel, when we are giving them accesses in the backend and all that stuff, they should have created these teams, and we need to get these team details so that we can put in the backend.
Okay, right. Any more queries? మీరు ఏమైనా క్వశ్చన్స్ ఏమైనా ఉంటే అడగొచ్చు.
So good afternoon, sir.
Venu, very good afternoon.
Sir, I mean, any other softwares are needed for this course, sir?
Prerequisite అంటే నువ్వు ప్రీరిక్విజిట్ అడుగుతున్నావా?
Yes, sir.
Okay. ప్రీరిక్విజిట్ అంటే మనకి HTML ఈ ఫ్రంట్ ఎండ్ డెవలప్మెంట్ కి బేసిక్ కంప్యూటర్ స్కిల్స్ అండ్ బేసిక్ programming language are required, I think. Vaibhav, is it okay?
So Rajendra, even if they don't know HTML and this one, it's okay, because they will learn in that particular camp anyhow, right? There is no, as long as they have some basic computer skills, right? The remaining program level skills, they will learn the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, right? The one which we mentioned, they will all cover in the program anyhow.
Okay.
And from a software perspective, the program will try to leverage most of the thing which is open source, so that there is no paid software which they will have to purchase or anything of that sort.
Fine. So Venu, అర్థమైంది అనుకుంటా.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
నాకు తెలిసి జావా స్క్రిప్ట్ లో కొంచెం ఉంటుంది, వీళ్ళ నేర్చుకోవచ్చు అంటున్నారు వితౌట్ నాలెడ్జ్ కూడా యాజ్ అ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ కోర్స్. బట్ కొంచెం తెలిసి ఉంటే బెటర్, తెలియకపోయినా నో ప్రాబ్లం.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
ఎందుకంటే జావా స్క్రిప్ట్ లో కొంచెం అది కోడింగ్ లాగా ఉంటుంది, ఊప్స్ కాన్సెప్ట్ కూడా ఉంటాయి దాంట్లో.
Yes, sir.
Any more?
Sir, if any student they don't have laptops, is there any chance to
It is mandatory, I think. Vaibhav.
Yes, they must have a computer with internet connection, because that is bare minimum. Since we are doing it offline, means online, that is required.
Yes, okay, sir.
Any more? కృష్ణా డిస్ట్రిక్ట్ నుండి మీరు ఏమైనా క్వశ్చన్ అడుగుతారా? కృష్ణా, మచిలీపట్నం కానీ విజయవాడ డివిజన్.
So I think so, Rajendra, there is one question on the chat which says that will you conduct any assessments? So the answer to that is twofold. One is the courses which the students are taking up, right? The assessment is built in, right? So the students, when they progress, they will be required to put in information, and which will help the system to assess whether the student has learned or not. And when it comes to the second phase, which is projects, there will be an assessment in form which will be conducted for the pitch, right? It's not that that someone will score more or someone will score less kind of stuff, because the whole idea is to help the students to build something technical solution, right? And if they complete the course, if they complete the project, right, and they submit their pitch video and that presentation, they will be eligible for a larger certification from IBM Skillsbuild, and they'll receive a badge or so. So that is the answer to it. There's another question on the chat. Laptop is not compulsory, but laptop or a computer, even if they have a desktop at their home or at their disposal, that's fine. But mobile might not
mobile
be
అనేది
okay
కుదరదు. Mobile is
because
not okay.
it's a hands-on project. They'll have to create something, code something. So mobile might not be sufficient.
So Vaibhav, one more question. How do we see the dashboard? Are you providing any dashboard for us?
So Rajendra, for APSDCC, we'll run some reports and maybe we'll share those on periodic basis of how the learners are progressing, right? We'll provide team level reports so that you can see centrally how is it happening.
Okay.
Generally, it's colleges దగ్గర కానీ లేకపోతే సోషల్ మీడియాలో
Yeah, please mute yourself. Somebody is making noise.
అంటే వాళ్ళ ద్వారా కమ్యూనికేట్ చేపించడం కానీ చేస్తాం.
Okay, right. So Gangadhar, the question ante, is it possible for register new students? Okay, yes, we can register, but actually నేను దాన్ని డిజేబుల్ చేశాను ఎందుకంటే 2500 వచ్చాయని. Really, if they are really interested, they are okay. We are welcome. They are welcome to register.
So Rajendra, what we can do is, because even 2000, while there is not like we have a limit on learners or anything like that, but just to ensure that we are able to drive this large audience, it will be good to if all the coordinators now have a clarity more on what the program is all about. It will be good to communicate that to all 2500 students who were there, right? So that in case some people drop out, some people still want to stay, right? We'll get a hold of it, right? And that's how we can get started from there. And we can conduct, it's not mandatory that we only do once we have started, right? Let's say once we start in January, we can open up another batch to start in Feb also if required. So
Okay,
it's
right,
not
right.
something which is one time only.
Okay, for the first part, first batch, when it will be?
So for the first batch, I think so what we would need support, Rajendra, to start is that student team creation, right?
Okay.
So students must, now that we all have a good clarity on what that is, right? So good thing would be to talk to these 2500 students, say this is the stuff, right?
Okay.
See how many of them are interested. Let's say out of that 2000 come in, we tell those 2000 students, now create teams amongst yourself, right? Team of 3 to 4, and then share those team details with us so that we will put them in the back end saying that these are the different teams who are participating.
Vaibhav, I think it's a very difficult task for us to create the teams as of now. Once we conduct the session for the students only, then we will get
either
I
ways,
think,
we
yeah.
can also do a session for students and tell them to create a team, right? But that team creation is the first step for us to start this camp.
Okay. Right. Babu is asking some doubt. Is there any chance for new registrations? Yes. యా బాబు, మనము మండే రోజు ఒకటి స్టూడెంట్స్ ఒకటి పెట్టుకున్నాము సెషన్ జూమ్ టూల్. సో ఆ రోజు మనకు ఎంతమంది ఇంట్రెస్టెడ్ ఉన్నది అనేది ఒక క్లారిటీ వస్తుంది. ఆ రోజు మనం ఒక గూగుల్ ఫామ్ కూడా మనం సపరేట్ గా పెడదాము ఇంట్రెస్టెడ్ క్యాండిడేట్లు మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి తీసుకోనికి, రైట్? సో Swapna from Anantapur, she's asking one doubt. How could students get access to LMS?
Okay, I can see there are two questions. One is from Ramchandu also, which says that will there be any job opportunity? When I mentioned the last pitch part of it, sir, what we will try to do is we'll try to bring in the relevant experts from similar industry, right? to witness the students' projects or so, right? So that they firsthand interact with the students, understand what they have done, right? And if they are willing to go ahead with an employment opportunity or so, means definitely the case will be there. So from an opportunity perspective, we will try to provide. That's the idea, and we are also at a larger level, I think so, exploring some digital job fairs also within the
Yes.
ecosystem of APSSDC. So we'll try to see if we can collaborate this audience there as well.
Yes, yes.
So that
In
would
the
be
last time also, you have given one opportunities for us, and yeah, మనకు ఆపర్చునిటీస్ కూడా ఇచ్చారండి. మనకు 2500 ఆపర్చునిటీస్ అది సిసి వాళ్ళకి మనం కనెక్ట్ చేశాము. ఎనీ మోర్? Any more queries?
Sir, what are the timings of this course, sir, per day?
Okay, so the classes, like I said, they are not something with the classes happen on daily basis or so on, because the first phase of the program is all about learning together in a student team. And there will be some sessions from the mentors where, we will collaborate to answer doubts or something of that with the student. But those would be group sessions, and those would be decided once we understand how many students are participating, how many teams are there, what kind of questions are they having. So we will decide multiple sessions accordingly for the students. Usually those sessions would range anytime between I can say 90 to 120 minutes at a best, right? Not more than that. And this is all about phase one, right? Where they're learning. Phase two, the mentor and the student team can actually decide on a common time slot. Okay, we are going to talk every Monday, for example, between 4 to 6 to review the project status. Means that can be aligned with the student.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Vaibhav. Which language is best for
Okay, so that answer is very simple. I think so. What we are trying to cover in the course is basically most of them, which is the HTML, the CSS, the JavaScript, right? And the students will all learn that in the course itself. So they are really ready for the front end developer kind of a role in the industry.
ఎస్ శ్యామ్ భూషణ్ గారు, దాంట్లో ఫ్రంట్ ఎండ్ అంటే HTML, CSS, జావా స్క్రిప్ట్లు ఇంకా చాలా ఉంటాయి. ఇవి మినిమం మాత్రం ఇవి ఉంటాయి. అంటే ఇవి 3 నేర్చుకుంటేనే వాళ్ళకు ఫ్రంట్ ఎండ్ కిందికి వస్తారు. ఓన్లీ CSS నేర్చుకోనికి ఉండదు వితౌట్ HTML. సో HTML చేస్తుంటే మళ్ళీ జావా స్క్రిప్ట్ అనేది డిమాండ్ చేస్తుంటుంది. సో అందుకోసమే ఈ 3 అనేది ఇక్కడ ఇంక్లూడ్ చేయడం జరిగింది. భూషణ్ కుమార్. సో వాళ్ళు రిజిస్టర్ అనేది మనము బాబు వాళ్ళు రిజిస్టర్ అయిన స్టూడెంట్స్ అంటే ఇంట్రెస్టెడ్ స్టూడెంట్స్ మనం ఏం చేస్తామంటే షేర్ చేస్తాము వైభవ్ వాళ్ళకి. వాళ్ళకి లాగిన్స్ అలా క్రియేట్ చేసి ఇచ్చేస్తారు. బాబు భూషణ్ కుమార్, ఈ జావా ఇదంతా ఫ్రంట్ ఎండ్ కిందికి రాదు, బ్యాక్ ఎండ్ అంటారు మనం. Yeah, minimum Teja, there is no laptop. The minimum configuration is enough for front end. Okay.
Yes.
In
You
case
don't need a very high-end laptop for that.
high-end configurations. Yes, enough. సో ఇప్పుడు మన టీంలో కూడా ఎవరైనా ఉంటే మీరు నేర్చుకోవచ్చు. ఇట్స్ ఎ గుడ్ ఆపర్చునిటీ. దోస్ హు హావ్ నాలెడ్జ్ ఆన్ ఫ్రంట్ ఎండ్ ఏదైనా ఉంటే మీరు కూడా నేర్చుకోవచ్చు. సో థ్యాంక్ యూ. ఇంకేం క్వశ్చన్స్ లేవనుకుంటాను. Shall we wind up this session?
Perfect. I think so. We are good, Rajendra. We'll collaborate more to figure out the next steps and the processes.
Yes. What is the situation of the students who cannot afford laptop? Kiranak, laptop effort చేయలేకపోతే డెస్క్టాప్ అన్న ఎఫర్ట్ చేయాలి. ఓకే, డెస్క్టాప్ ఇస్ ఆల్సో ఓకే, బట్ మొబైల్ నుండి మాత్రం చేయలేరు. మొబైల్ అనేది జస్ట్ ఫర్ చెకింగ్ ద మెయిల్స్, communicating with others, for chatting in through WhatsApp or some other, but not practicing. Okay, thank you all. Thank you so much, Vaibhav. We will see on next coming Monday with the students.
Sure, Rajendra.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Vaibhav.
Thank you.
థ్యాంక్ యూ అండి. మీ అందరికి అర్థమైంది అనుకుంటాను. సో నేను చిన్న సలహా ఏంటిదంటే మీరు కూడా ఏదైనా ఉంటే ఇది నేర్చుకోవచ్చు. గుడ్ ఆపర్చునిటీ లాగా అనిపిస్తుంది. అంటే నేర్చుకోవచ్చు అంటే డైలీ ఆన్లైన్ తోటి ఉండదండి. అది టాస్క్ ఇస్తే మనం ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసి వాళ్ళకి ఇస్తుండాలి. ఆ లెవెల్స్ ఉంటాయి. ఒక టీమ్స్ లాగా వర్క్ చేయాలి. అంటే రియల్ టైమ్ సినారియోని వాళ్ళు డిప్లాయ్ లాగా చేస్తున్నారు. అదే చెప్తున్నాను తేజ. కానీ అది ఇట్స్ నాట్ సింపుల్. మనం ఇంతకుముందు టాలీ పైథాన్ నేర్చుకున్నాం చూడు, అలా కాదు. మ్యూట్ పెట్టుకొని ఉండి ఆ తర్వాత అలాంటివి కాదు. ఇది వాళ్ళు టాస్క్లు ఇస్తారు, చెయ్యాలి. డౌట్స్ ఉన్నప్పుడు మాత్రమే ఎక్స్పర్ట్స్ తోటి ఇంటరాక్ట్ కావాలి. వెంకీ సర్టిఫికేట్ ఉంటుందండి. సో నేను క్లోజ్ చేయాలా ఇంకా? జాయిన్ కావాలంటే మనం ఆల్రెడీ రిజిస్టర్ లింక్ ఉందండి, లేకపోతే మళ్ళీ ఒక లింక్ తయారు చేస్తాను. అది మండే రోజు మీరు దాంట్లో అండి. కానీ అది సీరియస్ యాక్టివిటీ. ఒకసారి వచ్చి మధ్యలో అబ్స్కాండ్ కానీ ఉండదు. మీరంటే మీ ఈ డైలీ రొటీన్ జాబుని చేసుకుంటూ మిగతా టైంలో మీరు అది చేయాల్సి ఉంటుంది. డైలీ 2 to 3 hours వర్క్ చేస్తేనే చేయగలుగుతాం. యాక్చువల్లీ స్టూడెంట్స్ కోసము జస్ట్ ఫర్ మై పర్సనల్ అడ్వైస్ అంతే. సో ఇదంతా మీకు ఎందుకో ఎక్స్ప్లెనేషన్ అంటే స్టూడెంట్స్ మీకు ఎవరన్నా కాల్స్ అని అది చేస్తే మీరు ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయనీకుంటుందని ఈరోజు సెషన్ పెట్టడం జరిగింది. మళ్ళీ మండే రోజు స్టూడెంట్స్ తోటి ఉంటుంది. ఫస్ట్ మీకు నాలెడ్జ్ ఉంటే ఎవరైనా మీకు అప్రోచ్ అయినా కానీ మీరు ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయగలుగుతారు కదా ఒక ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఉందని. అందుకోసమే మనం ఈ సెషన్ పెట్టడం జరిగింది.